After swapping bodies with a deranged serial killer, a young girl in high school discovers that she has less than 24 hours before the change becomes permanent. Hey, what's up guys, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. I am here today to give you all my spoiler-free review for the new body-swapping horror supernatural slasher comedy, Freaky. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about the movie, give you my overall thoughts, my score, and let you know if it's worth checking out when it comes out November 13th, which happens to be Friday the 13th. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about the movie. But before we dive into it, as you can see on the screen now, make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. That way you can stay up to date with what's going on over here at Movie Files. If you are new to the channel, welcome to this community. Make sure you all subscribe, and while you're at it, hit that bell so you don't miss any of my other movie reviews, TV coverage, live streams, all the fun things we do on this very channel. Go ahead and do me a favor and give this video a thumbs up. It helps out the channel, but I also really appreciate it. And in the comments, once you've seen Freaky, let's discuss this film. What did you like about it? What were some of your negatives? What was your favorite kill? And let's have a discussion about all those things in the comments below. So Christopher Landon, I think he's a very interesting director. He's written about 4 or 5 of the Paranormal Activity movies. He directed the Mark ones, which I actually like that film. And then in the last 3 years, you have the Happy Death Day franchise, which I love the first film, taking the Groundhog Day, mixing in with the slasher, had a fun time with that film. Transition to the second one, takes the slasher element, but then adds in time travel. The script wasn't that strong. I'm not a big fan of the second one, but what I like about him as a director is he takes things we're familiar with, which the slasher subgenre is my favorite genre within the horror realm. And then he gives in these things that we've seen before, but never in the slasher realm. So he does the same thing with Freaky, which this film is based on a 1972 novel, which has been adapted more than 5 times already now. And you all have probably seen the 2003 Freaky Friday film with Jamie Lee Curtis and Lindsay Lohan. So again, he's taking a thing that we've seen before, but then adding in the supernatural slasher elements. So I really applaud him for having that kind of creativity. So going into this review, kicking things off with the positives, I just mentioned that I'm a huge fan of the slasher. So without spoilers, the opening sequence of this film I absolutely love. It's probably my favorite part of the whole movie because he pays homage to Halloween, Scream, and Friday the 13th. And I had so much fun with that opening sequence. I'm a big sucker of what is this film about when it comes to slasher? How is the brutality? What is the nature of this film? And it is rated R. And within that opening sequence, you see where the rated R goes to. And I really enjoyed the kind of open sequence because it really kind of kicked the door open to this kind of fun slasher film, which just in general, when it comes to the kills in this movie, without going to who lived, who dies, I had a lot of fun with the slasher element because it doesn't necessarily break new ground, but what it was unique to see was seeing Kathryn Newton as the serial killer once the body swapping happens. There's no spoiler. If you saw the trailer, you know what the film's about. But seeing her as this teenage girl who's timid and much smaller than Vince Vaughn trying to take out these people is really kind of funny. So I did find those kills, and I found her, which I'll get into a little bit later, very entertaining. But just as a whole, the slasher elements in the film, I think Christopher Landon, I know he likes to play in the kind of comedy type of realm when it comes to slasher, but if he ever decides to do a straight up horror slasher film, I think he would excel at that because he does a really good job of bringing in those old 80s, 90s type of slasher kills. So I really applaud that. So I mentioned Kathryn Newton, who I'm a big fan of her work in her very young age in the acting realm. And in this film, she kind of stole the movie for me personally. You don't really get much as her as Millie, as this timid girl who has her mom and her sister in life, and you find out what happens to her dad, but very kind of quiet. She has her 2 best friends, which I really enjoyed. I'll talk about them a little bit later, but I liked her as Millie, but I loved her as Vince Vaughn, the butcher killer. Again, when she is portraying Vince Vaughn as this Michael Myers, Jason-like type of killer, it was a lot of fun. I thought personally, and I'll get to Vince Vaughn in a little bit, who I love Vince Vaughn, but I found her pretending to be Vince Vaughn to be a lot more stronger than Vince Vaughn pretending to be her, and we'll talk about that later, but I really enjoyed Kathryn Newton in this role. And speaking of Vince Vaughn, if you don't know, I love the guy. He's in some of my favorite comedies of all time. In the last couple of years, his last decade, if I'm being honest, he's been in some kind of hot and cold films, whether it be comedy. He's been in some serious dramas the last couple of years. And this year in particular, he was in a Hulu movie called Binge. I did not like the film, but I really enjoyed Vince Vaughn. And in this film, he's playing in this kind of younger YA type of genres these last couple of movies. He's fun in this movie. Again, I'll talk about it later. I enjoyed him impersonating a teenage girl at times, kind of reminiscent of Jack Black and Jumanji, pretending to be the high school girl. But I like the character in regards to her being in his body and Millie kind of becoming her own woman and becoming more powerful and stronger and kind of a coming of age story in a sense. So I like the character. The performance was fine, and we'll talk about it later, but again, I'm a sucker for Vince Vaughn. I had a fun time with him, and he has some really good comedic moments playing this Millie character. But other than that, some other characters that come to mind was actually Millie's friends, which at first I'm like, okay, this is very stereotypical, but I actually come to really like Nyla as well as Josh, her two best friends. They had a lot of personality, had some really fun moments, and when it came to the comedy, I'll talk about the comedy elements a little bit later. I found them to be the funniest people in the film, and I just like their charm and charisma, and I really never have seen them in anything, and I think there's some really good up-and-coming actors to keep an eye out for. So I like the kills. I like Kathryn Newton a lot. She was fantastic in the movie. She was the best part of the movie for me, and then again, her two friends were a lot of fun. So transitioning into my criticisms, again, Christopher Landon, if you decide to do a straight-up horror slasher film, you're going to excel at it because I think you're great in that realm. Comedy. When it comes to his comedic chops and his comedy writing, it just didn't really work for me entirely within this film. Again, her two friends were funny. Vince Vaughn had some funny moments, but overall, the kind of YA type of funny jokes with the teenagers really didn't work for me as far as my comedy sensibilities. And then there's a lot of subplots in this film that just didn't really tie into anything and really just were, if I'm being honest, were kind of a waste of time in my opinion. I wanted to see more of Millie, or I should say Vince Vaughn as Millie killing more people, but instead we get this subplot with Millie's mom being an alcoholic, and you know why, and I don't want to get into the spoilers why. Her sister plot didn't really go anywhere. She was kind of one-dimensional. And then the high school stuff, the bullies and the jocks and the mean girls, all that stuff to me was just very kind of underdeveloped, and compared to the heightened nature of the kills, that really excelled. But then when the kills weren't there, the film just kind of hit a bit of a lull, especially in that second act, because again, without getting into the spoilers, this is where, as Vince Vaughn, as the butcher killer, as Millie's in his body, she's trying to become a new person. She's trying to find her inner self within this body, right? So again, I applaud that storyline, but that's when the film just kind of plummeted down in regards to just the entertainment factor, and I just wasn't plugged into that storyline as much as I was into the slasher element. So wrapping this thing up, what did I think about this film, Freaky? It's a lot of fun. Kathryn Newton kills this movie literally. There are some good moments. There are some good supporting characters, but the script wasn't as strong. The kills weren't as unique as I thought they could have gone, but at the end of the day, this was a lot more fun, a lot funnier, and more entertaining than Happy Death Day to You. So I'm going to give Freaky a 3.5 out of 5. I recommend you all check this out on this coming Friday the 13th, because it's a lot of fun. I think some people that are really, really scared of things might have a good time with the slasher. So that's my thoughts on Freaky. Let me know what you all thought about the movie once you've seen it. As always, make sure to like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you don't miss any of my other reviews. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you all in the next video.